Hey, good morning, sports fans. Here we are. It's the middle of April, and basically we're into I don't know a little over a month of this semi shutdown of America. It's not completely shut down, obviously. There's work still being done, um, and some places are shutting down on their own volition. Um, here's what's disturbing to me, and I just can't keep my mouth shut any longer. When the framers tried to figure out what type of government we needed um, for our nation, they wanted a government that was for, of, and by the people. They called it a republican form of government. And really, what that means is that we as individuals don't necessarily need a leader. The idea of having a leader puts us in a position of being a follower. And that goes totally against natural law. Okay? Um, when I look at how we were created under God's law, which is basically do no harm. And so as long as we don't harm anyone, and it has to be a real harm. It can't be some kind of made up, kind of crap of you hurt my feelings so I'm harmed. No, it's got to be true harm. There has to be some damage there. So here's where I'm distressed with all of this. The framers had this idea of self-governance. They never intended for government to get so big that um, that they ran the show. The people were supposed to run the show, not the government. And so here we are, 200 plus years later, and what I'm realizing is that the experiment of self-governance and self-rule has failed. It's failed, and it's failed miserably. And it hasn't failed because of government. It's failed because of people. It's because the people refuse to take responsibility for their own actions. And when we do that, when we fail to be responsible, that opens the door for governments to step in and make us responsible, even if it includes infringing on natural rights. And then here's where this gets really insane. Because when the government oversteps their boundaries and their authority and intrudes on rights, the people get all bent out of shape. Well, if the people would do that which is right in the first place, this would not be an issue. I hope y'all can see where I'm coming from with this. It's on us to use the God-given sense that we were given at birth to make wise choices and decisions. And because for whatever reason, and I'm not going to get into the myriad of reasons that people don't do that, but because we don't, it's allowed the government to do what we see them doing today. I don't blame the government as much as I blame the people for the infringements of rights that's being carried out today. In the Declaration of Independence, and I know I've gone through this before, in the second or third paragraph, I don't remember which, it talks about that if a government becomes tyrannical, it is the duty of the people to abolish that government and institute a new one that will secure our freedom. The responsibility lies in the people, not the government. Article 6 of the Constitution says that anybody that's an elected official takes an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. Now, they failed miserably at this, but we have failed at holding their feet to the fire. So the next time y'all want to blame the government, my suggestion is you go look in the mirror, because it's we the people who allow the government to do what they're doing through compliance. And I want to take this just kind of one step further here real quick. I find it interesting that so many people are so, and they want everything open back up. And they don't understand the ramifications of this right now. This virus hasn't stopped, it hasn't slowed. You know, I keep hearing about the curve is flattening, and I look at the numbers and I'm like, bullshit. And I'm not going to buy into all these conspiracy theories. There's enough evidence out there now that this was actually, how it got leaked from the lab in Wuhan is yet to be determined. The fact of the matter is this began in a research lab in Wuhan, China, and it spread from there. Okay, China lied about it. They covered it up. They did a lot of stuff to, you know, there's researchers who are missing because they were publishing stuff. In fact, China 2 weeks ago, or maybe 10 days ago, has stopped all publications by all researchers until it's vetted by the CCP. So that should tell you something. But ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, freedom is the responsibility of the people, not the government. But with that comes, with rights comes responsibility. We have to be responsible within our freedoms. And during times like this, we have to be very, very cautious. Very cautious about what we do so that we don't put others at risk of getting this horrible virus. And I know the survival rate's astronomical, I get it. But at the end of the day, here's the thing, if you work in a plant with 200 or 300 people and 20, 30 people get it, guess what? The plant has to shut down. So it doesn't do a bit of good, to open stuff up only to have people get sick and have to shut it down again. And this is also why being self-sufficient as best as we can is a plus, so you don't have to go to the grocery store 3 and 4 times a week. You know, and be exposed to this. The less exposure we have to this, the better off we are as far as not getting this and spreading it further. Debbie and I are very, very careful about what we're doing. Very careful. And I know most of you out there probably are. But guys, at the end of the day, man, there's people that may not even be at risk, but if they get it, they're still not going to do well. So, you know, man, we've got to have some balance here. There's got to be some balance here. My life is all about balance, and right now, things are out of balance. So with that, I'm gonna bid you guys a fare thee well and have a great Sunday. Thanks for watching.